If you haven't seen the most anticipated movie of the year yet, fear not, because neither have I. But we're going to talk about it anyway. Let's get started. Hello, my friends. Welcome to Thumb Together. My name is Andrew Fantasia, and today we're going to be doing a blind review of Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. I haven't seen it yet, but that's the point. As usual, if you enjoy this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up and give some love to that subscribe button as well. And if you like stories like Star Wars, well, hey, this is a story called Side Scroller, and it's pretty cool, just like a Star Wars. The only difference is I wrote this one. That's right, this is my book, and you can get it on Amazon in paperback or ebook format, whichever one you prefer. It's there. You can grab it for yourself. You can grab it as a gift for somebody who likes stuff like this. It's a romance adventure set in a world that runs on the logic of video games. Even somebody wearing blinding shades like me can see that this is a hell of a good book. So pick up a copy now and help a brother out. It's the end of the Skywalker saga as we know it, and I feel fine. I think the Bare Naked Lady said that. I can't remember now. But of course, this movie needs to have a sense of finality to it. We know a lot of things going into it. We don't know a lot of other things going into it. And the big question is, what's going to happen? Well, even though I haven't seen it, I'm going to tell you exactly what happens. First and foremost, if you're a Reylo shipper, if you're a fan of Rey and Kylo Ren getting together and getting all romantic and gooey, that's going to happen. I guarantee it. And here's what's going to go down. Early on in the film, they are going to make amends and come to a decision where they don't want to fight in wars anymore and they want to just be pals. And then we see a budding romance over a montage where they're walking through the snow and they're sharing plates of waffles together, and it's all lovely and good. And then eventually Kylo pops the question. He gives Rey a ring and she's like, "Yes, I'll marry you," and they get engaged. Fast forward to the wedding day. The scene is set in a giant cathedral on Naboo. Beautiful, vaulted ceilings, stained glass windows, painted frescoes, the works. Now, this movie is supposed to tie up 42 years of history dating back to all the Star Wars films, so every single character who has survived throughout the films is going to have a cameo in this cathedral. It's like a Where's Waldo book. You freeze frame it, you look at everybody in the seats, and you can point out, hey, there's Wedge Antilles. Hey, there's that guy from episode 2 who wanted to sell Obi-Wan drugs. Everybody's there. You name it, you can think of it, they're sitting in the seats. Of course, all of Rey's closest friends are sitting up front, and she has some people in the wedding party as well. And everything looks like it's going okay. Until we meet the priest. Somebody needs to marry these two crazy kids, and Naboo offers them a priest who is going to oversee the ceremony. But here's the thing. Naboo is the homeworld of a certain man named Emperor Palpatine. And Emperor Palpatine will take any opportunity he can get to be a sneaky, mean old bastard. So as the priest steps out of the shadows and unveils himself, it is in fact Emperor Palpatine. People in the audience are shocked. Rey and Kylo don't know any better because they've never met him before. He died before they were born. They just think, oh, there's this wizened old man in a creepy hood who's going to officiate our wedding. They're having a happy day. This is their happy day. They don't care about what the priest looks like. They don't understand why people in the audience are gasping and screaming. They just think it's all part of the fun. So Palpatine steps up to them, meets them on the altar, and begins the ceremony. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to join Rey, last name unknown, and Ben Solo in holy matrimony." They don't know why the priest is laughing. They think he's just having a good time. He's in a good mood. He's a priest. Why wouldn't he be happy? But then we get to the part where Palpatine addresses all the folks in attendance and asks, if anyone thinks these two should not be wed, speak now or forever hold your peace. And Leia and Lando and everybody who knows Palpatine's true face, they all stand up and they say, "I object," because they know something is wrong here. Rey and Kylo are still clueless, and now they're offended because they think that their friends and family standing up objecting to the ceremony are objecting to their wedding. They don't know who their priest really is. They're insulted and they're upset, and they spin around and face their objectors and they say, "How dare you? This is our happy day." They are hurt, they are embarrassed, and most importantly, they are afraid because their special day has been ruined and the deposit they made on the cathedral is non-refundable. And as we all know, fear leads to anger, Anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. These are the paths to the dark side, which is exactly what Palpatine had planned. Their anger overcomes them, and the bride and groom whip out their lightsabers, embrace the dark side of the Force, and start attacking everybody in the cathedral. And everybody's running and scattering. Some people are trying to defend themselves. Some people are trying to talk sense into the bride and groom. It's utter hysteria. And through it all, sitting at the back behind the altar in his high-backed chair, Palpatine is just rubbing his hands together and saying, "Good. Everything is proceeding as I have foreseen." Which is totally what he would say in this situation. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. The fighting goes on until, alas, tragedy strikes. A group of 6 characters band together. Leia, Finn, Poe, Janna, BB-8, and Jar Jar. And by working together, they manage to overpower and kill an infuriated Kylo Ren. Rey sees this and is absolutely devastated. She spins around, ready to attack more people, when Lando shows up, hits her in the head with his cane, and she falls into a coma, from which she does not wake until 4 years later. Rey finally wakes up in a hospital on Polis Massa, confused, disoriented, hungry for vengeance. But something is wrong. The galaxy is a different place. Suddenly, everywhere she looks, everybody is worshipping the priest who officiated her wedding with Kylo Ren. She doesn't understand why or what's going on. All she knows is she wants vengeance on those 6 people who killed her beloved betrothed. Or should I say, almost betrothed. So, donning a badass yellow motorcycle jumpsuit with a black stripe, she creates a list of the names of the people who struck down Kylo Ren, the names of the people whose blood she will spill in the name of love and vengeance. And one by one, she systematically begins hunting them all throughout the galaxy. But of course, times have changed in the 4 years that she'd been asleep, and all of those people who used to be her friends are now very different people. Janna, for example, who was a freedom fighter on her homeworld, is now the head of a criminal syndicate on the planet Tokyo. And Poe Dameron, once the dashing resistance pilot who was the envy of people everywhere, is living in a rundown trailer, sipping margaritas and eating canned chili and living off the meager funds he made by pawning off BB-8 years ago in some shady shop in the lower levels of Coruscant. Jar Jar is married with a daughter of his own now, and when Rey shows up in his living room and fights him hand to hand, the fight only stops when Jar Jar's 4-year-old daughter walks into the room, staring wide-eyed at her father fighting with a strange woman, and asking, "What's happening?" And despite Rey's best efforts to do otherwise, she ends up killing Jar Jar in front of the poor little girl, inevitably kickstarting an endless cycle of vengeance. Poe Dameron will trap Rey inside an old X-Wing and send her off into space where she'll eventually suffocate, and the only way she escapes is by remembering her training with Luke, the mystical 3rd lesson that we never saw in The Last Jedi, which was, of course, the 1-inch punch. Using the 1-inch punch, Rey manages to punch her way through the cockpit, at the same time using the Force, just as Leia did, to float her way through space until she gets to a safe haven and breathes oxygen normally again. This whole harrowing sequence takes 45 minutes to complete. Eventually, after cutting a swath of blood across the galaxy, Rey learns that all of her troubles were orchestrated by Palpatine from the get-go. So she gathers what little resources she has left, takes a spaceship to Palpatine's planet, and faces him one-on-one at his Mexican villa. I won't dare spoil what happens next, but I will say this: the movie may or may not end with Rey driving a convertible into the sunset. And that is absolutely 100% what's going to happen in Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. I know you don't believe me, but trust me, I'm wearing sunglasses, which means I'm totally not lying. This has been a blind review of The Rise of Skywalker. I have been Andrew Fantasia. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you here next time, and until then, adios.